Lyra's crystalline scales shimmered with terror as she watched her father, Emperor Vex, stride toward the containment chamber. Through the reinforced walls, she could see the human prisoner sitting calmly on the metal bench, his dark hair falling across his face as he studied the alien technology surrounding him. "Father, please reconsider," Lyra whispered, her voice carrying the harmonic undertones of her species. "You don't understand what humans are capable of." Emperor Vex's four arms gestured dismissively, his towering frame casting shadows across the detention bay. "One small creature from a backwater planet? My dear daughter, your fears are unfounded. This specimen will provide valuable intelligence about Earth's defenses." The human's name was Jake, and he had been captured during a routine patrol near the Outer Rim territories. His ship had been damaged, and the Imperial fleet had found him drifting in an escape pod. To the Empire, he appeared to be nothing more than a lost explorer. But Lyra knew better. She had studied the classified reports that her security clearance allowed her to access. Humans possessed something that no other species in the galaxy had encountered, an inexplicable ability to adapt and overcome impossible odds. The military called it the human factor, and it had turned the tide of countless conflicts across known space. "Father, the reports from the outer colonies," Lyra began, but Vex raised one of his primary hands to silence her. "Propaganda and exaggeration," he declared. "Look at this creature. He shows no signs of the enhanced physiology our scientists expected. No visible armor plating, no natural weapons, no psychic abilities. He appears remarkably ordinary." Through the observation window, Jake seemed to sense their presence. He looked up and made direct eye contact with Lyra, offering a slight smile that somehow conveyed both reassurance and warning. The princess felt her three hearts skip in synchronized rhythm. The detention chamber had been designed to hold the most dangerous criminals in the Empire. Energy barriers, gravitational restraints, and atmosphere controls could be adjusted to suppress any known species. Yet Jake sat there as if he were simply waiting for a transport shuttle. "Bring the interrogation specialist," Vex commanded his aide. "We begin immediately." "Father, no." Lyra's voice cracked with desperation. "At least review the tactical analyses from our border conflicts. The humans have never lost a war they were determined to win. They don't surrender, they don't retreat, and they certainly don't break under interrogation." The Emperor's compound eyes fixed on his daughter with growing irritation. "Your concerns are noted and dismissed. This human will tell us everything we need to know about Earth's military capabilities, or he will suffer the consequences." As if responding to the threat, Jake stood and approached the chamber's front wall. His movements were fluid and controlled, lacking the panic or aggression that most prisoners displayed. Instead, he seemed almost curious about his captors. "Good morning," Jake said, his voice carrying clearly through the communication system. "I don't suppose anyone speaks Standard Galactic? I'd love to have a conversation." Vex's translator rendered the words into their native tongue, and the Emperor's mandibles clicked with what Lyra recognized as amusement. "The creature speaks? How fascinating." "Please, Father," Lyra tried once more. The human colonies at Kepler 7 held out against a siege for 3 years with no resupply. The defense of New Terra involved only 12,000 human soldiers defeating an invasion force of 2 million. These aren't coincidences or propaganda. The interrogation specialist arrived, a towering insectoid creature with multiple sensory organs designed to detect deception and extract information through psychological pressure. The specialist's methods had never failed to break a prisoner within hours. Jake watched the new arrival with interest rather than fear. "Oh, this should be educational," he said, settling back onto the bench with his arms crossed. Lyra felt a chill run through her exoskeleton. That tone, that posture, the complete lack of concern she had heard similar descriptions in the classified reports. Humans facing impossible odds often displayed this same calm confidence just before they did something that defied all military logic. "Begin the session," Vex ordered. The interrogation specialist activated its equipment, filling the chamber with subsonic frequencies designed to induce fear and compliance. Most species would be reduced to quivering terror within minutes. Jake tilted his head as if listening to music. "Interesting technique. We have something similar on Earth, but we use it for relaxation therapy." The specialist increased the intensity, adding visual distortions and electromagnetic pulses that should have overwhelmed any nervous system. Jake began humming softly, apparently unaffected. "Father," Lyra whispered urgently, "you need to stop this now, before he decides we're a threat." "Nonsense," Vex replied, but uncertainty had crept into his voice. "Increase all settings to maximum." The interrogation chamber erupted with sensory assaults that would have killed most species. Energy patterns that induced madness, frequencies that liquefied internal organs, and gravitational fluctuations that should have crushed bones to powder. Jake stood up, brushed imaginary dust from his jumpsuit, and looked directly at Emperor Vex. "Are you quite finished?" "Because I was hoping we could discuss this civilly." The interrogation specialist backed away from the controls, its translator struggling to convey its shock. "Impossible. No organic being could survive those levels of stimulation." "Father, please," Lyra begged, grabbing one of his arms. "Release him now, apologize, and hope he's willing to forget this happened." For the first time, doubt flickered across Vex's features. "What exactly are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting that you've just tortured a member of the only species in the galaxy that considers impossible to be a personal challenge," Lyra said. "Look at him, Father. Really look." Jake had moved to the chamber's control panel and was examining it with professional interest. Without any tools or apparent effort, he had somehow accessed the supposedly impenetrable security systems. "Fascinating design," Jake commented. "Definitely more elegant than our approach, but you've got a critical vulnerability in the power distribution network." Sparks erupted from multiple control stations throughout the detention bay. Emergency lighting activated as the main power grid fluctuated wildly. "How is he doing that?" Vex demanded. "Because he's human," Lyra said simply. "They don't just adapt to new situations, Father. They master them." Jake looked up from his work and smiled that same reassuring, terrifying smile. "I don't suppose we could start over? I'm Jake, and I come in peace, usually." The chamber door, which had never failed in 500 years of operation, slid open with a soft chime. "Father," Lyra said quietly, watching Jake step into the corridor with the casual confidence of someone touring a museum, "I really think we should listen to whatever he wants to tell us about those peace negotiations." Emperor Vex, ruler of 1,000 worlds and conqueror of countless species, found himself nodding in agreement as the small human approached with an extended hand and an expectant expression. Some battles, Lyra reflected,